What's up, guys? Just here by my channel. Tonight I'll be doing a review for Monday Night Raw that started early around 6 o'clock where I'm at. So around 8:38. So yeah. So anyway, so we'll go ahead with the segment stuff. Oh yeah. By the way, there was a thing with stuff with Jimmy Uso. And then Adam Pearce has to break it up and stuff. So yeah. Anyways, have a segment with John Cena. We cut to ringside. John Cena opens the show and makes his way to the ring. Cena talks about how he played football at Springfield College as a lineman. He says Springfield College prepared him for life in the WWE. Cena talks about how his family and friends in here and how they couldn't even have a stage for today as there are so many people here today. Cena talks about his next hill to climb, which is Brock Lesnar. Cena says he's the last real champion, and this Saturday Brock Lesnar wants to end the last real champ. Cena says Lesnar is near invincible and imitating. He talks about how Lesnar attacked him and challenged him to a match, and he knows people wonder why he didn't say no. Saying no is a safe bet, but he says yes because of the WWE Universe and because he is the last world champion and he fights all his battles. And in the ring, Cena says he is afraid of Brock Lesnar and there is a possibility he'll fail, but he will never back down or give up. He will take the fight to the beast because that's what he does. He talks about how this is the final showdown between two generational talents. He says his Jordans are stronger than Lesnar's jeans and tells him that if he wants them, come get some. By the way, a fan was holding that sign, the Jordans and shorts and stuff. So yeah, it was funny. Then LA Knight talks to Jey Uso and Pierce backstage. They all arguing about picking his partner stuff for later tonight, and he chose his brother Jimmy. And then after that, we have a first match with Liv Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez with Raquel Rodriguez. So we go Valkyria and Perez lock up. Valkyria gets Perez on the ground, and they. I just saw that shit. Damn it. Anyways, sorry, my camera went all blue and stuff. So, anyways, let me start all over. Valkyria and Perez lock up. Valkyria gets Perez on the ground, and they roll around for a bit. I'm sorry. Perez smacks Valkyria's face a couple of times, and Valkyria slams down Perez, and the two exchange some quick hold. Perez rolls up Valkyria, who kicks out to Valkyria rolls up Perez for a 2 count. Perez knees Valkyria, and Perez comes back with a knee to Valkyria's back. Perez is tripped, and then Valkyria hits a crossbody and leg drop. Valkyria covers Perez, who kicks out at 2. Rodriguez trips Valkyria and gets ejected. Perez rolls up Valkyria for a near fall, but the ref was distracted and Perez is tossed out of the ring, and Valkyria hits a double kick through the ropes. Perez is sent back in the ring, and Valkyria climbs the ropes. Perez pulls Valkyria off the top rope, then starts punching Valkyria. Shit, come on, stupid thing. Perez chokes out Valkyria, then stands on her back. Perez covers for a 2 count, and then kicks Valkyria some more. Valkyria is whipped into the corner. And she flies back with punches to Perez. Perez elbows Valkyria in her back and then stands on her. Perez hits a double jump moonsault and covers Valkyria for a 2 count. Valkyria punches Perez and Perez tries to suplex Valkyria. Valkyria throws Perez with a back body drop and clotheslines Perez a couple times and follows that up with a kick/punch combo. Valkyria hits a Northern Lights suplex and then tries for a fisherman's suplex but can't. They trade pinning attempts and Valkyria hits a gut wrench, a sit-out powerbomb on Perez and covers for a near fall. Valkyria climbs the ropes and Perez rolls out to the apron. Perez punches Valkyria while on the apron, then climbs the ropes with Valkyria. Perez hits a Frankenstein on Valkyria and then hits a double knee to Valkyria's neck and covers for a 2 count. Perez then puts Valkyria in a cross-face submission and counters and hits Nightwing. So winner is Liv Valkyria winner is Liv Valkyria. As Liv Valkyria hits to the back, Rodriguez comes back out and attacks Valkyria. Valkyria is booted in the ring, and Perez hits a pop rocks on Valkyria. Bailey runs out and starts punching Rodriguez and then slams down Perez. Bailey takes out Rodriguez and then takes out Perez, leaving her in the ring with Valkyria. Valkyria is confused, doesn't know what to do, and Bailey starts holding her head as if she has switched personas, and then runs out to hug Joe Tessitore and Corey Graves, Alicia Taylor, Jessica Carr, and the audience members, dropping hints that she's now a hugger Bailey. Yeah, I was like, what the hell? So, anyways, all right. So, Sam Valkyria, Pierce, and Emilio Sky backstage and talk about their matches Saturday. Then Kairi Sane and Asuka come out and stuff talking about their who's gonna be the next match later time, and Asuka points at Kairi Sane and stuff, says wow. So anyways, so yeah, that's confirmed, which was later earlier tonight. Then I asked Jimmy Uso to see if his partner. Then Jimmy says no and stuff. So yeah, so see what happens after that. So anyway, second match coming up: Kofi Kingston with Grayson Waller and Xavier Woods versus Penta. All right, so Kingston runs out of the ring and the bell, and Penta chases him around the ring. Penta kicks Kingston out of the ring and then hits a suicide dive swanton on Kingston. Kingston is thrown back in the ring, and Kingston kicks Penta off the apron to the outside. Waller mocks Penta, who chops Waller, and Kingston then splashes onto Penta off the apron to the floor, and then we cut commercial break. Back to Raw, Kingston has Penta in a headlock, and Penta punches his way out of the hold. Penta fires back with the head scissors, and Penta kicks Penta in the face. Penta hits his handstand double kick and covers Kingston for a 2 count. Penta chops Kingston and sets up for the Penta driver, but Kingston counters and hits a DDT on Penta and covers for a near fall. Kingston kicks Penta in the corner and then comes off the top rope and misses. Penta and Kingston kick each other back and forth until they're both laid out. Woods gets on the apron to distract the ref. Waller goes to attack Penta, but Penta kicks him down. Penta hits a Mexican destroyer on Kingston and gets the win. So winner is Penta. Then Jey Uso. After that, Jey Uso's on the phone backstage. Jimmy Uso comes out, says he didn't want to be Jimmy LA Knight's partner, so he had to say no. And so then Jimmy says he said no to LA, but he doesn't take orders for him. So Jimmy tells there's no follow him around his name. He shouldn't be Rocket Wars. I am so damn. So, but he got whatever. So then we see Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch walking backstage before their face to face with AJ Lee and CM Punk. Then we come back, Chris Ray and Jimmy Uso storms the line, tells him he'll be his partner later on tonight. So, which was a couple minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, whatever. Then we have a segment finally with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch and AJ Lee and CM Punk. Seth Rollins and Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch come out to the ring. Rollins says he's going to ignore all the disrespect and instead he'll address the Netflix viewers. Rollins introduces Lynch and asks everyone to give her respect. As Lynch starts talking, AJ Lee and CM Punk come out. Punk greets everyone and says he's AJ's husband and he's not going to stupid goddamn thing. They come out. All right. To give respect. I'm sorry, I lost my thing. As Lynch starts talking, AJ Lee and CM Punk come out. Punk greets everyone and says that he's AJ's partner. AJ's husband, AJ's husband, and he's not going to waste our time with a long-winded introduction like Rollins did with Lynch. Punk asks who the leader is between Rollins and Lynch. Punk decides to start with Lynch and says he doesn't know what to say about either of them. Punk talks about Lynch and Rollins wanted the spotlight and talks about how they both needed their theme song, whereas he let have her spotlight. He talks about how they both have big egos, and Rollins thinks it's rich, and that Punk wants to talk about egos. He tells Punk that he thinks Punk is the most selfish person he's ever met. Lynch tells the crowd they're like the human version of herpes. Rollins says he'll give Punk credit and that AJ Lee is the best decision Punk has had made in his entire life. His personal life, but as far as business is concerned, inserting AJ into this feud is something Punk will regret. Lee says she's here because of Rollins because he inserted his wife into this feud. Lynch says no one expected Lynch to come back and that Lynch can't believe how irresponsible this is of Punk. She says Punk cares about 3 things. He cares about himself and the championship and AJ Lee. Lynch talks about how Lee says she's healed mentally, but how is she feeling physically? Lynch asks about Punk will feel when she beats up his wife and reminds everyone that she's the greatest female wrestler of all time. And she calls Lee a liability and not assist. Lee thanks Lynch for reading her book and tells Lynch she didn't read Lynch's book. Lynch agrees that it's been 10 years and she doesn't know how her body will hold up, but Lynch tells Lynch that it's not her neck. Lynch oh shit, come on. Lynch should be worried about that, and that she should be worried about is that even she doesn't know that she'll do, and she's a Puerto Rican and from New Jersey. Sometimes she'll shank chick and that she's unpredictable. Lynch says he can handle Lee's unpredictability and calls her a little girl. He says she's not wrong. He may not be able to predict Lee, but he can read Punk like a book. Rollins tells Lee that Punk has a habit of leaving when he's let down, and this Saturday, Lynch rips Lee shreds, but she better hope Punk doesn't leave her too. Lee slaps Rollins. Rollins says he doesn't put his hands on a woman, but thankfully he has someone who will. Lynch doesn't step forward like Lee did for Punk when she returned to Lynch, and Rollins start to argue. Lynch leaves the ring, and the ring, leaving Rollins in the ring. Lynch says Rollins got her into this. Rollins cheap shots Punk. Punk runs after Rollins, and in the ring, Lynch hits the manhandle slam on Lee. Punk runs back to the ring, and Lynch slaps him a couple times and runs out to Rollins while Punk attempts to Lee in the ring. So yeah, it's crazy. All right, so Byron Saxton talks to Dominic Mysterio about El Americano. Then Mysterio says, "Who cares about that?" And then to be saying about how Mysterio is a double champ, and hear a commotion backstage and see the New Day beat up Penta. The Warriors come to Penta's aid, but the New Day take off. Alright, so third match coming up. El Grande Americano versus Dragon Lee. Lee drop kicks Americano right off the bell. Americano comes back with a kick to Lee and then starts punching Lee. Americano kicks Lee down and covers Lee for a near fall. Lee fires back at Americano and punches, and Americano takes down Lee and covers him. Lee kicks out, and Americano kicks Lee. Americano chops Lee and chokes Lee in the corner. Lee punches Americano, who is on the apron. And Lee jumps over the ropes and hits scissors Americano off the apron. Americano lays on the announce desk, and Lee jumps over the ropes and hits Americano on the announce desk. And then we cut commercial break. Back to Raw, Americano kicks Lee and then ties Lee up to the ropes with his mask. Americano then stomps on Lee until the ref unties Lee. Americano chokes Lee on the bottom rope and kicks him hard. Americano tries to unmask Lee between the ropes, and Lee elbows Americano and hits a release German suplex, and then kicks Americano. Americano chops Lee, and Lee chops chops Americano back. They exchange chops, and Lee linger bombs Americano and covers him for a 2 count. Americano runs up the ropes, and Lee knocks Americano down and kicks him, and then double stomps Americano, who is hung up on the top turnbuckles, and Lee covers Americano, who kicks out at 2. Lee tries to unmask Americano in the second. Americano runs in and kicks Lee. Americano number 1 climbs the ropes and hits a blockbuster and covers Lee for 2. HS Styles runs out, and Americano number 2 runs under the ring, and Styles catches him and beats him up. And third, Americano attacks Styles and hits our tornado DDT. Americano number 2 pushes Lee off the ropes, and then Americano number 1 submits Lee. So by submission, El Americano. Lee then after that, Lara Baker walks to Bailey's locker room. Bailey is heard arguing with herself as of like she's talking to 3 people. Baker once enters Bailey and sit down, relax and stuff, and asks Bailey who she's talking to. Him. Bakir thanks Bailey for helping her. Bailey yells at Bakir and tells her to stay out of her locker room and stuff. Man, shit's crazy and stuff. Alright, so Sam Fan Garrett's backstage and Rhea Ripley comes up to her and tells her regardless of who wins the title, she's coming for it. Bakir says she's ready. Ooh, I can't wait for them between them two whenever. So anyways, so fourth match coming up, Sting Bakir versus Kairi Sane with Asuka. Bakir and Sane circle each other and circle each other before locking. They lock up again with a power struggle, and Bakir gets Sane an armbar, and Sane counters out the exchange hold, and Bakir punches out the last, and they both go to lock up again. Sane is slammed, and they exchange holds again. Both women go for a drop kick, and they both shake hands. Asuka gets mad at Sane for being nice to Bakir. Sane takes Bakir down with the head scissors, and then drop kicks Bakir. Sane punches Bakir on the ropes and covers her for a 2 count. Bakir rolls out to her apron, and Sane slides her through her legs and tries to powerbomb but Valkyrie doesn't let her and stomps on her. Then we cut commercial break. Then we're back for commercial break. Zayn chops Valkyrie against the ropes and covers Valkyrie for a near fall. Valkyrie slams Zayn's head into the turnbuckles and has a drop kick on Zayn. Valkyrie hits a Meteora on Zayn and then goes for SVB, but Zayn counters and forearms Valkyrie. Zayn hits for a few double axe handles and then hits a blockbuster slash neck breaker on Valkyrie. Zayn hits an elbow on Valkyrie in the corner and then climbs the ropes. Zayn misses the insane elbow and Valkyrie hits Valkyrie DDTs Zayn and covers Zayn for a near fall. Valkyrie goes for a devil's kiss, but Zayn counters and rolls up Zayn counters and suplex into a DDT and then climbs the ropes and Valkyrie catches her before she gets off the top rope. Valkyrie climbs up with her and Zayn starts punching Valkyrie. Zayn headbutts Valkyrie, gets caught on the ropes and Zayn hits a double stomp and covers Valkyrie for a near fall. Valkyrie rolls up Zayn for a 2 count. Zayn and Valkyrie exchange strikes, and Valkyrie hits a dragon screw on Zayn. Zayn rolls out of the ring, and Valkyrie comes off the top rope and hits a crossbody on Asuka. And Zayn on the floor. Valkyrie gets sent Zayn in the ring, and then hits Devil's Kiss on Zayn. Valkyrie hits SVB on Zayn and gets the win. The winner is 70 Valkyrie. Then after the match, Asuka goes to attack Valkyrie and Io Sky runs out to stop Asuka. Asuka and Sky argue in the ring. Asuka slowly leaves the ring upset at Sky. Sky and Valkyrie shake hands, and then after that, video patch with Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed plays. They'll talk about what they do with the Usos at WrestlePalooza. Then Kira Singh and also talking about stage and stuff. Then Asuka goes ape shit on yells and stuff. So yeah. Then after that, Judgment Day celebrate backstage. They share champagne to Dom Mysterio. Then Fat Bird says, yeah, it should not be celebrating as Valkyrie, Rocky Rodriguez, and Sam Valkyrie had a bad night and stuff. Then they said they can handle themselves stuff, and they talk about American Grande. All that stuff. So then Russo, after that, Russo comes up then to Mysterio, tells him that he's the next Intercontinental Champion. So yeah. Alright, main event coming up, LA Knight and Jimmy Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Alright. Yeah, Uso and Breaker start off. Oh, by the way, I'm about to refresh this. So yeah, Uso and Breaker start off, and Breaker takes down Uso with a shoulder tackle. Breaker slams down Uso and clobbers him into a corner. Uso fires back with some chops on Breaker. Breaker is taken down with a reverse elbow, and Breaker then takes down Uso with a clothesline. Reed is tagged in, and he punches Uso, and Irish whips him into the corner. Uso kicks Reed and tags in Knight. Knight punches Reed, kicks him, and goes to suplex Reed, but can't. Reed elbows Knight, and Knight then kicks Reed and hits a running hip attack, and Uso does the same on Reed. Breaker runs in and gets clothesline out of the ring, and then we commercial break. And then I'm on to refresh this and stuff. Alright. So then we come back commercial break. Reed beats on Uso and slaps him in the chin lock. Reed tags out Breaker and backdrops Uso and covers him, but breaks the pin to do push-ups. Breaker sits on Uso. Sits Uso on the top rope. Breaker tries for a superplex, but Uso pushes him off and falls off the corner. Breaker slams Uso down the mat and tags in Reed. Reed body slams Uso and misses a senton on Uso. Uso clocks Reed and then kicks Reed and hits a corkscrew splash on Reed. Knight and Breaker are tagged in, and Knight hits a neck breaker on Breaker. And elbows break. I'm sorry, guys. And elbows Breaker. Breaker flies at Knight and hits a pump knee and tags in Reed. Reed goes to a powerbomb Knight, but Knight counters and tries to take down Reed and hits a neck breaker. Knight hits a flying elbow from the top row, and Uso falls with the Uso splash, and Breaker breaks the pin. Knight clotheslines Breaker out of the ring, and Uso throws Reed out of the ring and hits a suicide dive, sending Reed into the announce table. Uso goes to do another one, and Reed punches Knight and sends sends it back in the ring. Knight hits Reed before he can get in. Get in the ring. Sorry, and in the ring, Uso hits a super kick and a spear on Reed. Breaker takes down Knight outside the ring and pushes Uso, who falls onto Reed's shoulders. Reed hits Jag Edge on Uso and gets the win. So winners are Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. All right. And then after that, after the match, Reed and Breaker attack Uso. Breaker spears him, and Reed goes to hit a tsunami, and Jay Uso runs out with a chair. Jay takes out Breaker with a chair, and then gets in the ring to beat on Reed. Reed punches the chair, and Jay Uso punches Reed, and then hits him with the chair a couple times, sending Reed out of the ring. Jay kick checks on Jimmy and stands tall in the ring. Knight gets back in the ring and grabs a chair, and Jay turns around before Knight can use the chair. But whom? Knight drops a chair, and he and Jay stare at each other. Jay stare each other down. Jay offers his hand out to Knight to shake. Knight hesitates and then shakes Jay's hand on, and they do a bro hug. Jay turns around to check on Jimmy, and Knight hits him with a BFT. Knight leaves the ring, and the show goes, and that's how the show ends and stuff. So yeah, that was a good show tonight. I enjoyed it before the go home show for WrestlePalooza and stuff. So yeah, it was very good with John Cena and then AJ Styles. CM Punk and AJ Lee and stuff. So it was very good tonight. So I enjoyed it. So I think I have a feeling that AEW All Out will finish before AEW All Out finishes. So I have a feeling AEW All Out will finish before WWE WrestlePalooza on ESPN, which will be the first ESPN with WWE show and stuff. So yeah, I have a feeling they're gonna finish before WWE starts their own show this Saturday and stuff. So yeah, I can't wait for that. I hope it finishes before WWE starts and stuff and all that. But yeah, anyways, I don't know if it doesn't. I'll watch it later that night or something, or maybe the next day or stuff in the morning, but whatever. But so anyways, that was this first video. Hope you like it. Now so like, subscribe, hit the button, and comment. You guys want to leave comments, I would encourage you to. That was it. I'll see you guys Wednesday night for the 3-hour show for AEW Dynamite this Wednesday. Alright, laters.